we're still going through the book from the founding of the city by Titus Livius or Livy. The book is also or often called The History of Rome. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about, apparently there was a prophecy that the place where Romulus founded the city of Rome was going to have a city, and it was going to be a seat of a powerful empire. Now, Livy tells us about this prophecy when he tells us the actions that Romulus took immediately after slaying his brother Remus. And the steps he took, number one, he sacrificed to the, according to the customs of his people of Alba. And besides that, he decided to do some rituals that were not indigenous, rituals that came from the Greeks. And Titus Livius tells us the reason he did that is because of something that happened many years before. And when that, whatever happened, there was a prophecy that was made about the founding of a major empire at that point. Now, these rituals he was doing were rituals that were put in place by another guy who went by the name of Evander. And Evander was a Greek. He wasn't a local. Now, this is the story that Livius tells us. He says, long ago, before now, the time when Romulus is founding the city, might have been maybe centuries even, he says Hercules is a big character in Greek mythology. Is considered to be a god, by the way. And so he says there was a time that Hercules came to that land, to the land where the city of Rome was being founded. And Hercules came and he was driving a huge herd of cattle. And he comes and he crosses the river with his cattle. And he goes to the other side of the river, and he's tired, of course. He decides to take a nap. He had eaten, he had drunk some wine. He takes a nap. He's sleeping, the cattle is grazing around him. Beautiful cows and beautiful cattle, herd of cattle. So the animals are grazing and he takes a nap. It turns out there was another guy who was nearby, who was hiding in some cave. His name was Cacus. Now, Cacus wasn't a very rich guy. He was a shepherd, though. Now, Cacus is watching these animals. They are very beautiful, well-fed, they look very beautiful. And he wants to take them, but he decides, I can't take all of them, because if I do, the guy sleeping, Hercules, is going to maybe find out so easily that I'm taking his animals. So he decides to pick a few. And he's picking a few, and he decides to take them to a cave, but he doesn't drive them forward. He pulls them in by their tails, so that the hooves happen to indicate that they are going in the opposite direction. So he pulls these animals into the cave, and he kind of keeps them there. Now Hercules wakes up, and he looks around, and he realizes a few of his animals are not there. And he looks around, he looks at the footprints, and he goes up to the cave. But he sees that these animals were coming out of the cave, so he decides the animals are not inside. Maybe they were inside at some moment, and now they've left, because he can see the footprints going the other direction. And he starts driving his animals away. And as he's doing that, the animal starts mowing. Is that the word? I think yes. And of course, the animals, the ones that are inside the cave, also start mowing. And now he realizes, my animals are inside there. And he goes back. And Cacus is inside there with the animals. And Cacus wants to fight, but Hercules overpowers him. He hits him on the head, I think, and Cacus falls down. And Cacus, I think, is screaming at this point. And other shepherds from around come running. But by the time they reach there, Cacus is dead. Now, these other shepherds want to, because they knew Cacus and they did not know Hercules, who was Hercules, and they want now to kind of like attack Hercules. And while they are agitated and they really want to do that, Evander arrives. Evander is a Greek who lived in that area. Evander comes, but it happens that Evander had a lot of influence around there. And it's not because he used power, but Titus Livius tells us that people respected him because of his character and the way he carried himself. He was a fair man and very wise, and people just respected him. So he comes, and because of that respect, people kind of like recognized him as a leader. He comes and he tries to find out what's going on. Who is this guy? And he asks Hercules, who are you? And Hercules tells him, I'm the son of Jupiter, I think. And Evander recognizes who this person is, and he says, this is a god. And he says, my mother, who went by the name Camenta, Carmenta, who was a prophetess, the mother of Evander, had prophesied that this Hercules will come to that spot. And when he comes to that spot, he will have to do some sacrifice, and so Evander is able to persuade the other herders around that, or shepherds, that these guys are God, and they find an animal and they sacrifice and they build an altar. And Evander says his mother had told him that when Hercules comes and he sacrifices there, the place he will build that altar is going to be the place where later on a major empire is going to emerge, which is Rome. So Livy tells us this story because that is the exact place where Romulus came and started, was founding a city. But before he does that, he performs some rituals according to the cultures of the locals. But he also performs the rituals according to the culture that was passed down from this Evander guy. And because there was that prophecy that that place itself was going to be a place where a major city was going to be founded, or a major empire. Now, was this prophecy true? It's hard to tell. But one thing you need to bear in mind is that Livius is writing this story while Augustus is the emperor. Already, Rome is a great empire at that point, and there is a likelihood that this is a story created because he wanted to show that the Roman Empire came from some, it has some form, some kind of divine origins, something like that. Maybe it's story created, or somebody else created this story and passed it to him, or maybe it was true. We never know really. With these stories, you never know. So yeah.